The Skoda Kushaq offers buyers the choice of two turbo petrols. The 1.5 obviously packs more muscle and features a fancier autobox, but it also comes with a fatter price tag as well. The 1 litre TSI in cars like the Rapid, the Vento or the Polo GT has proven to be great in the city, out on the highway and when you want to have some fun as well. So what magic can the 1.5 work to convince you to upsize? And before we find out, we've got a small challenge for you. Can you pick which one's which? On paper, the difference is large. 150 horses versus 116 and 250 Newton meters versus 178. Let's take a look at what that translates into IRL. The first test will also be your first challenge clue. So the first test is simple. Long open straight road, standing start, full throttle and go. No surprise here. After a slight stutter off the line, the 1.5 catches the 1 litre and leaves it in its dust. The 1.5 is actually a slow starter from a standing start because software prevents you from launching the car at high RPMs to protect the DSG gearbox. The 6-speed auto launches off the line better, but is soon caught and passed by the more powerful Kushaq. So this is a test that simulates, well, overtaking in the real world. We're rolling along at around 20 kilometers per hour and then we're going to go full throttle. So here the torque of the 1.5 TSI and the quick downshifts of the DSG really shows. It immediately starts to gap the 1 litre Kushaq. Rough translation, much easier overtakes in the real world. But these tests just prove what the spec sheet will tell you in the first place. Let's see how they're going to handle some city and highway driving. Okay, let's be honest. Not everyone is looking to blast away from every stoplight or overtake everyone in their path. And if you're going to do a lot of city driving, then the 6-speed automatic in the 1 litre TSI makes a lot of sense. And if you're sticking to city speeds, then you aren't really going to miss those extra horses as well. It's smooth and refined and efficient as well. If there are some downsides, you can hear the engine note in this cabin a little more than in the 1.5. The 1.5 on the other hand is smoother and more refined in the city, and that DSG automatic is just as smooth even at slow speeds and just as efficient as well. In terms of power delivery, it's very linear, so those extra horses aren't really throwing you back in your seat. And you only realize the difference when you drive them back to back. Difference being that you're working the 1 litre harder for overtakes. The bigger engine really sings on the highway, and it's got cylinder deactivation as well. What that means is at around 80 to 100 kilometers per hour cruising speeds, it runs on only 2 cylinders, sipping on your ever so precious fuel. That translates to more efficiency than even the 1 litre, not just on the highway, but in the city as well. You'll have the figures popping up somewhere. As you can see, it's not a big difference, but still, it's more efficient. As we said, it's very linear power. So, stepping on the gas doesn't really bring you exciting performance, but what you do notice is that staying at highway speeds is a lot easier than with the 1 litre engine. We spent a good 2 days driving both cars in Pune, adding a good 200 kilometers of highway driving and a similar amount of city miles to both cars' odos. And while picking the keys to the 1.5 made one smile wider, none of us were really bummed out having to drive the red Kushaq either. So the 1.5 isn't just better in outright performance, it's smoother, more refined, while being just as efficient as a daily driver. So the bigger engine offers more punch and sophistication. But if you're expecting a better driving experience, then you need to temper your expectations a bit, because it's not a biblical difference from behind the wheel. Like we said, the 1 litre is good, it's the 1.5 that's better. So spending that extra cash, knowing that the looks, features and comfort is the same, is because you want to, not because you need to.